About it yesterday, just that chip on your shoulder. Everyone talking about a neutral AFC Championship game, not even thinking about you guys. How much did that motivate you coming into this?
You better send those refunds.
I'm from the city where they gotta play us. Fuck a coin flip, it's time to pay up. Don't cross the middle, 21 in the cut. We ain't hiding from nobody, run and tell them it's up. I'm from the city where they gotta play us. Fuck a coin flip, it's time to pay up. Don't cross the middle, 21 in the cut. We ain't hiding from nobody, run and tell them it's up. Back-to-back champs, kings of the north with it. Thinking they can hang with us, still ain't jumped out the porch with it. Long bomb to chase every Sunday, watch him go and get it. Double up on him, then we gon' double down on T. Higgins. Then throw Boyd in the mix, now you really iffy. Every Sunday showing boys how to really gritty. They try to shuffle up the game on us, but they ain't icky. Flip the coin, kick the toe right to the go and get it. Never know what's gonna happen when Joe drop back. He get shiesty in the pocket, I get shiesty on the track. Nobody on the team all pro, that's all cap. Most all around team in the NFL, that's all fact. Ain't came across nobody yet that seem like they can hang with us. They said we couldn't be Buffalo, but see how we call they bluff. Underdogs every week, they keep on trying to label us. Put your money on us, even if Vegas don't favor us. No matter what, we really came up, now it's hard to fail. I dare you come across that middle, Von gon' ring your bell. I know we under they skin, them boys built frail. Eli Apple out there chirping like a next tail. You don't want Salmon Trey to come off them ends. Rita clogging up the middle like a big body Benz. Right behind them Logan and Pratt, the turnover twins. Jesse Bates in the backfield just to clean up the loose ends. We just drafted Cam and drafted Hill. Instant gratification every time that they on the field. We can't go back to what we was, cause that's the loser way. It's been hard to throw on us since we picked up a Woozier. It's like win after win, feel like we could really do it. Zach Taylor doing his thing for the city, I give it to him. And I bet Samaji will find a hole if you give it to him. Hayden Hurst don't need a hole, he just plan on running through him. Just hand it off to 28 and let him do the dash. Getting hit by BJ Hill probably feel like a car crash. Every week it seem like Lou digging deeper in his bag. And if the game on the line, all my favorite money match. I'm from the city where they gotta play us. Fuck a coin flip, it's time to pay up. Don't cross the middle, 21 in the cut. And we ain't hiding from nobody, run and tell them it's up. I'm from the city where they gotta play us. Fuck a coin flip, it's time to pay up. Don't cross the middle, 21 in the cut. And we ain't hiding from nobody, run and tell them it's up.
What do we say, dog?
That's right, they got to play us. What's going on, y'all? Welcome to the show. This is Sports with Strawberry Ice. I'm your host, the Iceman, Jeff Trunapole. And as always, I bring you sports from a West Side point of view right here in the great city of Cincinnati, Ohio, home of the back-to-back AFC North champions, Cincinnati Bengals. Now, do me a favor, if you found the show, hit that like and subscribe button. Smash that thumbs up. You guys are awesome. I'm up to 2,327 subscribers. As Gitlow said in the comments, hit the subscribe. We're trying to get to 10,000 by the end of the week. So, tell your friends, say names. Let's subscribe to the show. Anyway, do me a favor. So if you're watching on Facebook or Twitter and you have yet to subscribe to my channel, why not? Please do so. Please go to the YouTube channel, Sports with Strawberry Ice. Hit the subscription button, hit the bell for the notification. Every time I go live, you'll be notified. Also, exclusively in the YouTube chat crew, we're doing super chat. So if you got a question you want to ask Pancake Parker Blake, which I'm taking credit, I gave him that nickname. But anyway, yeah, give me a super chat. He's got a great follow on Twitter. He's got a new thing he's doing with Chatterbox Sports. We'll get to that here. But anyway, super chat for Parker, super chat for me. One, two, I would greatly appreciate it. And as always, I'm coming to you live from the Ice Cave. The Ice Cave is brought to you by T Properties. T Properties, quality housing for quality people. Check out the website at www.tpropertiesllc.com for all your rental property management needs and your rental needs. And you know what? I wear it every day. I was wearing it on the bridge today, but I got a different hat on today, or different Jackpot Joey hat on. We got the hats, we got the banners, we got the shirts, all at jackpotjoey9.com. We got the beers at Brick Brewery. Portions of the proceeds for all of this goes to the Joe Burrow Foundation and the Joe Burrow Hunger Relief Fund. So I gotta apologize, my bad, guys. All right, Parker lives out in Utah, so he's like, the earliest I can do is like 7:00 your time. I said, okay, cool, we'll go at 7:00. Well, I'm sitting there making the show up real quick because I'm at Bengals practice and everything, and I didn't pay attention that I said 5:30 on the schedule. So my bad that because everybody's like, I was sitting there cooking dinner with my wife and everything, and Chop calls me. He goes, "Are you okay?" I'm like, yeah, why? What's going on? He goes, well, you're not on your show. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm doing it at 7. Like, well, YouTube says you're doing it right now. I'm like, oh, crap. So I had to go on there and tell everybody, like, oh, my bad. I messed up. My fault. Anyway, I'm glad you guys are here right now. Let's get to the reason we're here. We're going to talk some offensive line here, the big uglies with Pancake Parker. What's up, Pancake?
How's it going, man? I appreciate you bumping it back, and I apologize to everybody. It's my fault. Don't blame Jeff. It's my fault. Gotta ruffle up the schedule a little bit, keep you all on your toes, and that's why it's worth, getting 10,000 subscribers. Tell your friends, tell your friends' friends, tell your friends' family. Everybody's got to come.
Exactly. Tell everybody. Exactly. So anyway, let's get into this thing here. All right. So I always come to you. Bengals and Brewers, you're on with them Saturday. We always come to you for our offensive line knowledge. And Jonah Williams, I mean, you and me have said this from the get-go. He's going to move to right tackle and be fine. He took, 11 snaps, I think you said?
Yeah, I'm there. Yeah, yes, sir.
How's he looking at right tackle? I mean, I think he looks pretty good. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I think there could be like a misconception where people get all excited and they want to see him, like jump off the screen and do all this awesome stuff because it's the preseason. But you got to remember, I mean, this is really just his debut at tackle. The only reason he got just the limited snaps he got was knock that rust off, get used to the live game reps at the new spot, and just, see how everything's going. And honestly, I think he looked fine. Like, I think he didn't do anything crazy. He had a couple, plays he probably could have done a little better. But I think overall, he really just looked like it's a smooth transition. He looks very similar to the Jonah that, we saw last year left tackle. Take that for what you will. I know people don't want to hear that, but I think the transition's very smooth, and the fact that there hasn't really been a crazy drop-off is awesome for him.
Exactly. And Parker, this could be one of the best offensive lines we've had since 2015. I mean, just let's talk about my boy Zeus, just getting him on this line. What big of an impact, or how much of an impact is Orlando Brown going to have on this line, being a steady force at left tackle?
Yeah, no, I think there's a lot to be excited about, obviously. I mean, he was like the top free agent last season, and we somehow ended up getting him for a steal. And then I was just listening to Pollock talk to Lapham on his show, and he was just talking about how he's such a leader, and it's not really just a leader in that O-line room, but he's a leader just the whole locker room. People just gravitate towards him. And not only does he have that personality, but he just comes on the field and he can dominate. He can really just take over a game from that left tackle spot and neutralize threats. And I can't wait to watch him play this year. I think he's really going to be an upgrade just purely from a profile standpoint, where he just looks like a left tackle. Like when you see that guy, and you've seen him in person already, like when you see that guy out there, he just looks like a guy you want at left tackle.
He's about this much taller than me. He's freaking ginormous, man. But the cool thing too that I like that Orlando said, he said it last week, that he hasn't played an actual game for us in Cincinnati yet. I mean, a real legit game. But he's already said he loves the city. He wants to stay here the rest of his career. He can't wait to see how off the chain this city is going to be during a big, deep playoff run. That stuff is just cool, and it shows that he really likes us and really cares and really wants to do really well. I just find it very just surprising because he hasn't been here that long, how much he likes the city already.
Yeah, no, I mean, and you can tell that it's just, that's what we talk about all the time. We say it's the Joe Burrow effect, but just the way that this city's just embraced, the team and the players and just the culture that's spreading throughout the entire fan base. And I think, you can almost feel it, and I can't even imagine, like, I was in Cincinnati for a week, last season. Like the whole time we were there, it was just like, holy crap, like the Bengals play here. Like this is like the home of the Bengals. And like, it feels different. That's one of the benefits, I think, of being, a smaller market team, is that it's almost like a closer feel.
Right.
And that goes to the players, fan to fan, player to player, staff to players. Like it's just, everybody just feels tighter. And that's why I think people like playing in Cincinnati and moving forward. That's why this has become a destination for these bigger players. And that's why they're willing to take these deals, and why we have players willing to take pay cuts. And, whether that's Orlando Brown, whether that's Mixon, all these players just want to be here. And it's like, we haven't even won a Super Bowl yet.
Not yet.
People just want to be here. I mean, you got one loading soon, but we don't have like the history of success, and we're just drawing players because they just want to be a part of this culture.
And one thing that I've noticed, just compared to the two major, I won't say major, our longest professional teams, because we got the Cyclones and we got the FC2, but the Reds and the Bengals, you can get as fans, we can get so much access to the players. It's ridiculous. The Reds, you're lucky if they walk over, during batting practice or talk to you. I mean, the Bengals players, you can literally walk down to practice like I do every day, and they're walking out, and you can talk to them. I mean, and they're most of the time pretty nice about it. I mean, they don't want to get bugged the crap out of them about getting signing autographs or everything, but I mean, they're really cool. And that I always find that just really cool. And Katie Blackburn and Troy and all them are like that. because I met her at the pro shop last year. Just happened to walk around. She was there, and they were, just normal people, And you don't normally see an owner of an NFL franchise just walking around where you can just say hi to him. And I always think that's always kind of cool like that.
No, it's crazy because it's like I think if I was a fan of any other team, I wouldn't even have any like anticipation that I could get anything signed by any player at any time. But it's like I really feel like even if I can't make it out there, I feel like I could ship something out there and I could get it signed, almost like 100% of the time. Like there's no doubt that they're going to be at some event, or even if it's a practice or pregame or whatever it may be. Like they're just so willing to give back to these fans. I mean, we talked about like that back together weekend. Like that was like the amount of stuff that came out of there. And even after these practices, Orlando Brown signing stuff in the rain, like they just don't care. And that's part of just the energy and the culture that this team now has surrounding them, is they just want to be around the fans. The fans love the players, obviously, and the players can feel that. And I think that's so important.
Exactly. Excuse me. Now let's get the question here. Jeremy has said Mixon, or more a statement, I guess. Mixon had nothing but praise for Volson. Says he thinks he's a future Hall of Fame. What's your thoughts on Cordell Volson? I mean, I think he's been an absolute freaking steal. Was it 6th round we got him? That was the pick for Volson?
Fourth round.
Okay, fourth round. Still, either way, he's been a legit, just absolutely a steal for basically pretty much a plug and play guard, which is what we thought and hoped Jackson Carman would do. Cordell Volson's been that and more.
Yeah, we talk about like the young guys they brought in this year and how they're already like they look like they could be contributors if we didn't have Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, like that we could have some legit talent out of these later rounds. And I think Volson, being an FCS kid coming out of North Dakota State, being a 4th round pick, late 4th round pick, not to mention, because the success they had, going into that draft, and then really just being that late 4th round guy that comes in as an instant contributor, showed great improvement from honestly his last game in college to his first game for the Bengals. Like, I just think he's awesome. It's great finding these like mid-round, late-round guys that just come in, they're instant impact guys. Now everyone, they see the ceiling, the players around him like him. I mean, everyone in that building talks about he's just a worker. He's just a grinder. He loves football and he loves the work that comes with it. And that's why he's got one of the lowest, body fat percentages in that O-line room. He's still pushing 330, but he looks great doing it. And he's going to have a long career in Cincinnati. And I feel good saying that. And I feel like that's a really good plus for this team. Getting a guy that, he's an older rookie, but he was still a rookie last year, only his 2nd year in the league. And I feel like he's got a long career ahead of him. That's always, positive to feel.
Exactly. And Teddy K loves him. And that's one thing that I would say about this offensive line this year. I'll put it this way. First of all, I hope they at least get one series in this game against Washington. I don't know if they're going to or not, but I'm not as worried about it. I really wasn't worried about it last year, but after what I saw happen, I'm like, oh, crap. Hindsight, maybe they should have played. But I'm not as worried about it because of that interior line. They're the same 3 guys that were there last year, and Jonah's just flipping from right to left. He got Orlando on the left side. What's your thought process as far as the three main guys right in the center? I mean, and this is one thing I've said is I think we're not necessarily going to run the ball more, but I think we have a chance of running the ball more efficient because those guys have got a year under their belt.
Yeah, and I think retaining those 3 is such a big thing because, I mean, honestly, a lot of the time your tackles are usually working on an island, even in the run game, but especially the pass game. They're not really getting that help. They're not really coordinating with the interior consistently. You're usually just, working together on the inside and passing off those stunts and really trying to communicate and work through all those situations in the run game or the pass game. And I think retaining that unit and at least having a couple more years out of them, if I remember correctly, I mean, that's just really positive. And again, cohesiveness and chemistry is big on the O-line, and having those 3 guys that are getting all these reps together throughout the season, preseason, postseason. I mean, it feels good coming in because you feel confident knowing what you're going to get out of those 3 and that it's going to be, a pretty high level of success that we're going to see out of them.
Exactly. Now, Tebow here has a question. I'm trying to get to all your guys' questions. So if I haven't got them up, I'll try to find them and put them back up there. But keep them coming. Tebow says, Parker, what do you think we should do with Jackson Carman? I always think of Billy Price. Is there any chance we could pull a trade off like that again?
Yeah, you almost hope to see because week 2, he had the highest snap count out of everyone in the group, and it wasn't particularly close. He almost played the full game. And you, at this point, I think almost want to hope that they're just doing it so he can get some better film out there for some of these other teams. You know, it's almost like, hey, I don't know if we're going to keep him around, so let's just let him showcase so we can try to have some leverage in some of these conversations. But then we also know the Bengals really value their own guys. And so you wonder, do they just see the potential and still want to hold on to him because they still see him as that second-round pick kid that they took a shot on, and now they really hope it still has a shot to pan out? Or do they, you know, look around and say, hey, maybe we can spin him? I mean, I think they've done pretty well in the defensive line after that trade that you mentioned earlier. And then what do they need? Do they try and ship him out for a tight end? Do they ship him out for better O-line depth? Like, you know, there's a lot of potential there. It's not worth just cutting him because you're still paying him. He's still on his rookie contract. I mean, you're still owing him that money. So the best option is to trade him if you're not going to keep him. And so, I mean, you're hoping to see something out of him, and not in the sense that like, oh, we need this guy to be a solid depth piece or even a contributor for this team, but really just, hey, you know, boost your stock so we can get something for you, so we can really try and, you know, save that second-round pick that we spent.
Now, that brings you to the thing we're talking about a little bit off air. Jonah Williams switching from left to right. Look like he's going to be great. I saw Lyle Collins pushing a sled, looking good on the field. I still think they're going to put him on the pup list. I think they're going to try to keep him for a backup, you know, because, I mean, that's a hell of a backup, right tackle, guard, wherever. My question is for next year. Jonah Williams is going to cost a lot of damn money. People thought, you know, he's getting overpaid for last year. Well, just when he proves he can play left or right tackle, he's going to get a big bag. Well, Collins, I don't know if they bring him back or not. Where's the future of right tackle? I mean, I was kind of hoping that this year Jax Carman would kind of make that leap and go, okay, we can see you build upon what you did in Buffalo, and we're comfortable saying maybe next year you can be our right tackle. I'm not there right now. I mean, with Jax Carman, I'm not there. I am a little worried about what they're going to do with right tackle. I mean, maybe they could keep – I think it's still under contract, I think. I'm not really sure. I mean, it might be low going forward. So what's your thoughts at right tackle for, I guess, future?
Yeah, no, and definitely keep in mind that Jonah Williams was a 4-year starter at left tackle, and now has shown most likely throughout this season that he's going to be a competent swing tackle. So I mean, he's going to get paid. He's probably not going to be in stripes next year, which is, you know, fine. I'm not opposed to Collins coming back, especially if he's fully healthy. If he can recover from his multitude of injuries, whether it's the knee, the hip, the back. I mean, he sounds like every old guy that you've ever met in your life. So I mean, if he come back fully healthy, I'm more than happy to let him get that right tackle job, even if it's just for a year or two.
Right.
But I do think they need to try and attack that position, and whether maybe that is a Carman trade and you're bringing a guy that can hold it down for a few years, or maybe you're just like, oh, well, we know, quote unquote, that we have Collins, whatever that may mean next year. Maybe let's try and take a swing in the draft. But then, you know, you talk about how maybe the Bengals don't feel confident drafting on the O-lines. Maybe they just want to pay a guy to come in. Maybe there's another free agency acquisition. I mean, it's up in the air. I don't think we should be worried about putting Collins there, but I do think I would be a little bit worried if we come into, you know, next year's training camp. They didn't really make any moves to bolster that position. I do, however, want to say a little shout out for Deontay Smith, my guy. He's finally healthy. I think he looks really good. He looks good on both sides, and I really feel good about him coming up. They picked him as a project guy. Yep. And he hasn't really been able to stay healthy. And now I think that project's really starting to fulfill itself. And now we're starting to see some of the fruits of that. And so I wouldn't be opposed to him battling it out for that spot, and maybe getting a cheaper extension because, you know, he hasn't had a, you know, extensive career here. So we could probably get him for a little cheaper and try and hit on that, you know, cheap contract, high quality player. So that's definitely a possibility that we'll definitely be talking about next year.
Exactly. And I love Deontay, and I love him. He's been on my show, so of course I love him. But let's go to the offensive line depth right there with Deontay Smith, Jax Carman, and Akeem Adeniji. Are all three of them going to stay? I mean, I think Cody Ford's going to stay because they signed him. So I think Cody Ford and Lyle are definitely going to stay. I think Max Sharping is a lock because he played well last year, and they got him taking lots of snaps at center. Just my thoughts. What's your thoughts on who are the guys that they might be on the chopping block?
Yeah, no, I think you hit it pretty close on the head there. Where I think Sharping's beat out Hill. I think he's kind of looking like that interior line 4 backup center type guy. I think Deontay Smith is in the lead for the swing tackle job. Obviously, I'm not in the building, so I can't, promise you anything. But from what I've seen, I think he would have the lead in that competition. I know they do like Adeniji, but he's just shown a lot, and Adeniji's kind of just been the same old Adeniji. I mean, it's not bad, not good, just kind of giving you what you know you're going to get out of him.
There's more the ceiling's bigger for Smith.
Correct. Yeah, he's got. I mean, they have a similar floor, and Smith's just got more potential, in my opinion. I think Adeniji's starting to flatline, which every player does once they kind of like just get in the groove of the NFL. So I think those three though are pretty solid. I think Ford you're looking at is your fourth guy, just because we've heard Zach Taylor talk about him. Again, they signed him for more than vet minimum, so obviously they like him at least a little bit. So I think. Everybody
the whole go for the right tackle position. I'm like, he's not going to go for the right.
Well, if you remember, I said, you're not gonna play a guy wearing 61 at right tackle. You got to trade someone.
You did say that.
Trade someone jerseys or something at that point.
Right.
But I do, yeah. So I think those are your four, and then using Lyell as that 10th guy once he comes back healthy.
Mm-hmm.
So really, everybody outside of that group is gonna probably be on the block, and that's where I think guys like Ben Brown are really just those really high floor, high potential type guys. And now Ben Brown's been healthy. I think he showed a lot of great things this preseason so far. So I don't think he's like a risk if you cut him and he hits the wire. I think he's going to come right back to Cincinnati. I think Kirkland's another guy that's going to be on that practice squad. I think we've all been kind of underwhelmed by his, performance this preseason. However, I do want to do a little plug for Gilliam. No one's really talking about Nate Gilliam, but he's looked really good this preseason. And honestly, I think as far as your interior guys go, that's really a lot. Most of what they have that isn't going to make this roster for sure. You're looking at Brown, Gilliam, and Kirkland. Those are guys that are probably going to be Bengals for a while, and they have a lot of potential. Let's just see if we can get out of them. So, but that's where I think we're at right now with the O-line room.
Now, Michael here says, and I don't even know he had one. He said, "How bad is Ford's concussion?"
Yeah, yeah, I learned about that this morning. I didn't even hear about that again until this morning. But if he's got a concussion, if they found it today, I don't know how that worked. I don't know how we didn't hear about it over the weekend. But if they diagnosed it on Friday, he should be able to get back going at least on Thursday if he makes it through protocol pretty clean. Again, if they, found it, whatever that would mean this morning, then he's probably out this week. But again, I don't think I think he's on the roster.
I remember I saw him out. I didn't see him out there.
And I got to reach out to a couple guys. I totally forgot about hearing about that this morning. So I got to reach out to a couple guys and see if I can.
I didn't hear about it till now. I'm like, he's got a concussion. I didn't know that. Can't hear everything. I don't know. All right. Let's see here. Wait, I had one sweet. I had something about Sirius X. Oh, here it is. Tom. I'm gonna read this one. XM Radio said that the Bengals were going to start slow because they are not playing starters in the preseason. The rest of the AFC North is way ahead of them, according to Charlie Weiss. Charlie Weiss is blowhard. He says a lot of stuff. I'll put it this way, Parker. And I've said this. I've seen a more intensity out of the practices. They've been in pads way more than they've ever been in pads in any other training camp for Zach Taylor. Mm-hmm. So, and let's be honest, they get more. I think they get more done at practice than they do. I mean, the game helps with the game speed and actually hitting and all that stuff. But as far as getting yourself ready to play, training camp and practice is probably better than the actual games, I think. Yeah,
and that's where it's like you have the debate of like the Bengals are dealing with a very high quality defense right now. So like the reps they're getting in practice aren't like the reps the Texans are getting in practice, like the Cardinals are getting in practice. Like they're getting some pretty high quality reps out there just on the practice field. And like where everyone I know, I think it's more of a I don't think people are as legitimately concerned as they're coming off that they, really want to see this offense out there. I know that there's a bunch of talk about the slow start last year. But I think it's more just excitement of seeing this new group out there. And everyone's like, oh, well, they need the reps. So they need the reps. So that's how they'll get out there. So, but I think they're going to be fine. I mean, you got to remember how much time these guys are spending together on the practice field, getting reps together. I mean, they're building that chemistry. I know it's not the same as live reps, but you also have, 4 very seasoned NFL O linemen in this room. Cordell Volson's really the only guy that, if any, I'd be worried about getting those preseason reps. But again, when you're surrounded by, experience like this, I mean, think about how many Super Bowl rings are on this line right now. I'm not really concerned about them getting off to a slow start. Like, I think it's going to be just fine. They know how they work together. They've been very healthy through the preseason. I think we're going to be just fine. I'm not really worried about them getting their early reps.
Absolutely. And the thing is, the slow start last year was, again, I think hindsight, the offensive line should have started some at least a series or two last year. And Joe Burrow, jackpot, lost 30 pounds.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that. I'm like, he has his appendix cut out of him. So, I mean, but then people go back to going, whoa, remember what happened last year? I mean, he's got a strained calf now. I'm like, it's a freaking strained calf. He'll be fine. He's not losing 30 pounds. He looks exactly the same as he did when I was calling him Jackpot Joe. He said a Jackpot Joe because he was jacked. I mean, I just the Bengals Nation need to calm down sometimes when it comes to these things. Like, there's to freak out about, there's some things not to freak out about.
And it's funny because people are acting like he lost his leg. Like, I mean, he did not get his knee down amputated. He's going to be just fine. Right. He's going to be all right. And that's what I learned very quickly. Last year was kind of my first year trying to jump on the Twitter train. Back then it's X now. Gotta be careful.
Yeah, X. Do you send an X out, or I mean, I don't
it's
know.
A post. It's all posts now. You got to repost.
Yeah, but that's Facebook. It's a post. I don't know. Just whatever.
But when I did my first foray out into the Twitterverse last year, I learned very quickly after week one because I put a lot of tweets out there about how Joe Burrow was doing this and that was kind of impacting the O-line. It wasn't necessarily the O-line struggling week one. It was more. You had a rookie playing against. You had an FCS fourth-round rookie against, Cam Hayward.
Yeah.
And then you had Highsmith and TJ Watt. That's a pretty good D-line. And I think they looked fine. Looked fine. But then you also had Joe Burrow, who probably didn't feel 100% after the
5 interceptions.
Yeah, I mean, he was holding the ball a long time, and when he wasn't holding the ball a long time, he was giving it to the guys in black and yellow. It was kind of. I wouldn't say you blame the O-line for the slow start. I mean, there was scheme issues. There was Joe Burrow getting back to his groove after actually legitimately missing an offseason, unlike he's doing this year, even though he's not at camp. He's not missing the offseason. He's doing just fine. So, and I think that is a great point where the preseason is all about just getting through it healthy and getting to week one with everybody you can have. And that's where look at all the injuries. I mean, this team's even sustained some small injuries, but look around the league. Are you not happy about this preseason? I think I'm feeling pretty good.
That's what I'm kind of saying. I'm like, this preseason, they've actually, for content creators, there hasn't been a whole lot to talk about. Yeah. I mean, really. I mean, I've talked about Joe Burrow's calf 900 freaking times. He's going to be fine. I mean, you can talk about the backup running back and Travion Williams who injured his ankle. I mean, if you're a Bengals fan, which I am, no news is great in the preseason. Yep. That's what you want. If you're a content creator like me, you don't want that, but I'll take it. So, I'm fine with it.
It's funny because, it was my first off season, my first full off season trying to, be a content creator, whatever that means nowadays. And so I was like, wow, this really sucks because what the hell am I supposed to talk about? Not only have I settled myself into this niche of this O-line talk, but we got Orlando Brown, and that was super fun. But people got really tired of the Orlando Brown talk, after a little bit. And so now we get into this really quiet offseason. But honestly, what you're looking for out of any professional sports team is to only hear about them during the season.
Right.
Because typically the things you hear outside of the season, outside of contracts and stuff, it's usually negative. So the less news you hear about your team, you're usually in a pretty good spot.
Yeah, exactly. Get T-Boy's question here. Parker, do you see LC taking that job from Jonah when he comes back if Jonah is doing just okay? Not the best in the league at right tackle, but also not the worst. Just what if?
Yeah, no, I get this question a lot, and I think people keep trying to phrase it in a way that's going to get me to say yes, and it's never going to be a yes because if you get mid-season and the guy
Parker Blake loves Jonah Williams, all right?
I'm a sympathizer. You can't flip me. I'm not going to flip. But if you get partway through the season and he has not been, a cuttable player out there,
right?
There's no reason to pull him out of the equation, right? Because all you do is Jonah Williams has been getting in a groove since the beginning of training camp with this unit. You know, he's been getting a feel for how Kappa works, for how the new scheme works, for how he can work around the protections they're running with Joe Burrow behind him, without Joe Burrow behind him, seeing different stuff from the defense. You know, it's all about getting in a rhythm and in a groove. And people don't understand, like, that's not just like a week to week or drive to drive groove or getting hot during a game. It's that groove starts at the beginning of camp, and you want to like get that chemistry, get in a rhythm, get used to how everything's flowing, how everything feels. And that way, once you get to the week 5s, the week 10s, the week 17s, you feel good. And like, you feel like you're moving well. Everything feels right. When it doesn't feel right, you're aware of it. And if you're pulling Jonah out of that equation, you're putting in a Lyell that, I mean, hasn't gotten literally any reps up to this point at all with the team.
None.
I mean, that's when you start worrying about the slow start, is when you're throwing a guy in, you know, week just 100% cold, just hoping it lands, you know. So
yeah, like
no,
I've
he's
said
not
this,
taking the job.
I've said this lots of times because Dave Lapham, it says this a million times, and like I always say, he's forgot more about offensive line play than I'll ever know. But he says offensive line's like a fist. You know, they all got to be moving in the same direction. You got to know what the other guy's doing without looking at him or whatever. You got to step in those same. It's, you know, they got to be in coordination. Their feet got to move the same way because they don't get twisted up, or not the same way, but you know, in coordination with each other is the way I'm trying to put it. And that takes time. That takes reps. That takes years of playing together. That's why the interior 3 guys. That's why I'm really happy they had a whole year together. Yeah. And they just got to get Jonah, who's played with them, but it's switched sides, so it is different. And you got like Orlando Brown, who is just as solid as it can get. He's a 4-time Pro Bowler at 2 different left and right tackle. So I mean, I'm not that worried about it, but that is the thing, is like the offensive line is not something like you said. It's not something where you want to pull somebody out and put somebody back in and move this guy around. No, you want to keep the same 5 guys out there all 17 weeks.
Yeah, it's not like your receiving core. It's not like your D line where you're getting guys. You know, you want to have 9+ guys with 250 snaps throughout the year. You want to have 5 guys with all of the snaps throughout the season. Like that's what you want. And then when you look at these receivers, I mean, you got guys rotating like every play. You got guys taking a play off here, a play off there, just to, you know, get some air because they're running these deep routes or making these big plays. But the O-line, it's like it's a machine, man. You just gotta grind away, and it's about consistency and chemistry, and it's a very boring position from a high level because you're not going to see a lot of rotation. You're not going to see a lot of variance. You're going to see the same guys doing the same thing. That's why I love that Frank Pollock said, you know, it's about being a master of the mundane. You know, it's not about making these flash plays or these big splash highlights. It's just executing your job at an average to above average level over and over and over and over and over again. Yeah,
I mean, like I've since we had such trouble with the offensive line, I've paid a lot more attention than I ever did before. And when I go to practice up on the bridge, even when I'm down on the field, they're always in the corner. So it's kind of hard to see, but I will try to, you know, pay attention to them. It's boring, dude. You gotta love freaking football to be an offensive lineman. You've got, and to be good at it, you've got to freaking eat, sleep, drink football. Because offensive line, all you're doing is you're banging into a guy over and over and over again. And then when you're practicing it, you're practicing steps, step left, step right, whatever. And then you're banging into another guy. I mean, it's the same thing over, and it is Monday over and over and over again. I'm like, you've got to be a different kind of screw loose up here to like that. I mean, to be honest, because it's definitely not a glamorous position. I mean, it's going to be more of a glamorous position here in Cincinnati because our offensive line stunk for so long, and we are dying to have a really good offensive line. That's why Orlando Brown and Ted Karras are, you know, such well-known players here as far as Cincinnati goes. But yeah, it's definitely not for the faint of heart to be an offensive lineman. It's ridiculously boring and grinding.
Yeah, no, and everyone talks about how football's a game of inches. You know, it's about that, you know, inch that they didn't spot the ball, or it's about getting that heel into the end zone instead of on the sideline, or it's about putting your toe down the right way in the end zone to get the touchdown. But if you look at, like, that's the thing about offensive line, it's not only just the game of inches and, you know, just did my hand miss an inch too far to the left, or did I get my hand a little too far out to the right? Now I got a 10-yard penalty. My coach is screaming at me. But it's like, it's a very physically tolling position, because even compared to D-line, like, if you look at it in pass protection, like, the D-line's the hammer.
Yeah.
And you're just trying to protect yourself.
You're backing up. You're playing defense the whole time.
Yeah.
Defense gets to go be aggressive and go after you. You're like,
yeah, they're just coming at you trying to make you lose. And like really, even in the run game, like you might be the aggressor, but so are they. Like you're never in a position where like you're the sole aggressor on a play. Like it's a very physically tolling position. And it's about, again, just doing the same thing over and over and over again. That's why, I mean, if you go and watch O-line practices are hilarious. I run my own, so I know, and I've been through my own, so I know. And it's just funny because it's like your coach will yell at you. I yell at my guys about getting your step, hey, no, this is supposed to be an inch to the right, not, where it is now. You got to make this 6 inches. This is a foot. Like your split's like an inch too tight. You're a little too wide. Like it's just all the nuance to it. And that's why I love it so much, man, because it's just like, it's like if you love football, you got to learn the O-line because, I mean, when you're watching it, it's like once you start to figure out the little pieces that go into it, you realize, A, there is no such thing as a good O-lineman. They're all awful in their own right, and that's the best part to watch. But B, it's fun to watch like stuff come together, and especially with these developmental guys, like watching Cordell Volson's college film to his week 1 last year to how he looked in the AFC Championship, like it was fun watching that progression. And that's why I talked about a lot this offseason coming into camp, especially now going into week 1, where it's fun seeing what like I hoped to see these guys improve on, just knowing, from that coaching perspective of like, okay, if I had this body of work from last season, what would have been my coaching points for these guys? And what do I want to see from them? And then seeing them come out in camp and like, oh, wow, he's improved in that area. Or wow, look, he's really attacked that. Oh, he's doing this a lot better. I didn't even notice that last season, but now that already looks a ton better. It's like there's so many different little pieces, and it's stuff that no one really gives a shit about. And that's the best part to me. I think it's hilarious.
It's all the stuff you can geek out on. Everybody's like, what? Now, one thing I do want to talk about, we talk about how you said that they're going against a really good defense. Mm-hmm. Trey Hendrickson has been the most dominant player, I think, at practice, at training camp. I mean, he is playing at another level this year, and that gets me excited because he's playing so well. Plus, we have guys who can give him more breaks this year than last year. Because I really do think toward the end of the season, him and Sam really got wore down because Trey they have no off button. Him and Sam don't know how to turn it off. I mean, because trust me, I've seen Trey at practice before, and I'm like, hey, what's up, Trey? And if he's in the mindset, he's like, whoa. He's like, all right, that's blackout Trey.
My bad.
Yeah, my bad. I'm sorry. And then other times, like today, I asked him, I was like, hey, he was walking out. I was like, hey, Trey, you want to come on a podcast sometime? He smiled. He goes, no, not really. He goes, that's not really my thing. Thanks for the offer. So there's two sides to Trey. There's Psycho Trey. There's normal Trey. I like Psycho Trey on the field, and he's been playing unfreaking believable. And all that's going to do is help Orlando Brown get even better.
Well, I feel like, hasn't it been fun to have like now over a month straight, it feels like, of just blackout Trey? Like we have not seen like Trey really just, being loose and trying to work on just, the fundies and just working through a practice and trying to, like, he's going to the wall every play. And that's why I think it's so important and why everyone harped on not only the D-line depth, but you're in a good situation when you're begging for your best defensive lineman to get less snaps. Like, you're like, no, please come off the field. So when you're back out there, you're at 110% every freaking play, bro. Like, take a break and then go out there and just go ball to the wall. And that's where I feel like I'm so excited to see, like, I feel like he can have another 10+ sack season. Like it's going to be, I'm super excited to see it.
That's kind of was my point. I really do think this could be an all-pro Pro Bowl season for him. And the thing is, the biggest, he's playing well, but they can give him less snaps, which I think will help him in the long run, to help us in the long run once we get to the AFC Championship game and Super Bowl and all that stuff. So he has more of his legs under him than he had last year. And just this defensive line, I'm really excited. Miles Murphy was back at camp today. I guess he was sick, so I know he didn't make the trip to Atlanta, and he wasn't at practice Thursday. But to see the four guys in the rotation, or all four at the same time, Osai, Trey, Hubbard, and Murphy, I'm excited as hell to see those guys. I want to see what they can do. And Parker, I think we got a shot of actually getting the quarterback to the ground more than we did last year. Joseph Osai he's another one that's looking really good at training camp.
Yeah, no, and I talked about this a little bit this offseason, but I think it's a little more nuanced than I think a lot of people care to hear. But when you're having the pressure numbers that the Bengals had last year with the lack of production, I think you can attribute a lot of that to just like fatigue. Like, I mean, when you're late in the game and you've been playing the entire freaking game, like you're not gonna have the energy to finish those plays that maybe it is just like that. You're an inch off, you're a couple inches off, you're just a foot off, you just gotta get that hand through. Maybe it's just finishing that move a little harder. Whereas if you can get these guys less reps on the front end, and then that gives you, now you're bringing in these fresh bodies like Osai, like Murphy, like Carter, like anybody. Like I talked about so much the last couple of weeks, I feel like how this second string Bengals D line, this second four is probably a starting defensive line at multiple NFL teams right now. And they're very young and they're hungry. And I don't think we talked enough about last year how young they were. And that probably contributed to them not getting a large percentage of the snaps. However, this year, you're now going to have these guys that are at least a year or maybe even two, or they're more vets that are been in the league. They've shaped their bodies. They've, felt the speed of the game. They've been working with a great D-line coach that the Bengals have in Hobby. And it's going to be exciting, man. I just like, you can't understate. This is probably peak Trey. Like we've been experiencing peak Trey Hendrickson, and just appreciate it while we have it. That's all I got to say.
Exactly. And Zach Carter, I think he's going to have – well, they need him to have a big year. I think he's looked pretty good in training camp so far too, because my worry now, James Rapine, your boy from SI and Bengals Talk, was live last night. So I asked him, I said, along when I was making fun of how short he is. He's only 5'9". He's
a little guy. He's a little guy.
He's not a little guy. That's
why he loves the receivers. That's all he can play.
I know. And he's like, oh, you guys can't cover me. I'm like, I can cover you. I'll just knock you down.
I'll jam you all day.
Exactly. I got you, bro. But what was my point? I was going to that anyway. Sorry, man. Talk about James Rapine. I forgot. No, I totally forgot. I'm gonna have to go to a different subject. I completely forgot what I was going to say.
Zach Carter. What do you feel about Zach Carter, Ice?
Oh, Zach Carter. I think he's actually done pretty good. Oh, I know what it was. Thank you. So I asked James last night. And my boy DJ Reader. I love DJ Reader. He is my favorite defensive player. I love that dude. I think he makes such a big impact. And I asked James, do you think that they're going to sign him? And he kind of hinted at that he doesn't. He said he could see it. Maybe what happened with Pratt. Maybe they come at the end of the season. Maybe they come through or something. I'm worried to death. Now I'm talking about next year because DJ's going to be here this year. Zach Carter's going to have to step up if DJ's gone next year is all I'm saying.
Yeah, but I think from what I've heard, he's looking pretty good. And I don't think we should sleep on the fact that the Bengals have a good history of finding these defensive tackles, these nose tackles, that end up having pretty solid careers in Cincinnati. I don't remember if you remember the last one that we had. I don't remember his name exactly. I think he wore a similar number, maybe. I don't know. Can't remember.
Was it 97?
It could have been 97. Oh, maybe.
Actually, I got a shoe over there. It's Mike Eversole let me win it. It's over there. Shout out to him.
I don't know if I'd worry about that position as much. There's been conversation about there's not that much of a drop off as soon for these older nose tackles, but I'm honestly not worried about the Bengals finding another one, because that's just another position like the rest of the D linemen that they've shown that they can be very efficient in finding, whether it's free agency or the draft. And whether they retain him or not, I know we all love DJ Rader. We all love Geno. We're going to love the next guy. I can already tell. So I'm not really too concerned, but I am excited to see Zach Carter jump off the screen this year, man.
I like to see him too. We're going to need him to. Now, I want to get to this tweet you put out about Jonathan Taylor with the Colts. They let him say he can try to find his own trade, which is awful late in the game to start doing this now. Like we're 3 weeks away from the start of the season, but I retweeted it, and people I guess thought I was saying that the Bengals trade. I'm like, I didn't say anything. I'm like, the Bengals they trade for him, but what's your thoughts on where he might go? I mean, and are they going to give a first round for him? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, and I really tried so hard to not use my Bengals goggles line again and just be like, hey, put yourself in the perspective of a team that could use a guy like this. What would you give up for it? And then everyone's like, oh, well, the Bengals don't need a guy. I'm like, well, I'm aware that the Bengals don't need Jonathan Taylor.
That's not what you were saying. Like,
but no, there's a lot of good spots. I mean, it was the Jets until they got Dalvin. I really like his fit with New England. I talked a little bit about that on Twitter today. And I think that'd be his best spot. I know there's been conversation about how he'd fit well in Tampa, but they need to retain the receiver still. I don't know if they have the cap to move around that. I don't know the league-wide cap situation off the top of my head.
I think they're in cap hell. I think.
Yeah,
but I'm not sure.
The NFC South is in cap hell. I mean, that's just kind of where they all live.
Right.
I mean, those are my options. I mean, I guess you could look at a team like Carolina. But I really think if he can end up with the Patriots, I think that'd be a perfect situation for him. And I'm excited to watch this Patriots O-line for the next few years because I think they're really primed to go into a run of really peak O-line play. And I think he would fit the scheme really nicely. I think the Patriots are really looking to take the ball out of Mac Jones' hands. They want to, I think having a guy that could be a really good receiving and rushing threat and take reps away from Mac having to throw the ball would be very beneficial for them over there. Mm-hmm. And so that's where I would like to see him go. I think it's the best fit. They have the money to make it work, but we all know that teams don't want to pay running backs and that they don't think they're worth anything. So we'll see.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is there an NFL team out there that's willing to give a first round pick for him?
And that's what I think. I think your best option as the Colts. And again, they're not really seeking it out. And there's people saying that the Colts aren't going to let him go no matter what they get because again, this is another situation just like we experienced a little bit ago. I don't know if any of you remember that. But the team has to accept the trade. He's not a free agent. He is on the Colts.
Yeah, he has no say-so. He literally has no say-so where he goes.
Correct. The team would have to accept the trade, he can work the deal all he wants, but the team would have to accept it. And if they're just like, all we're taking, it's a first-round pick or nothing. Because, I would be like, oh, well, I think day 2 picks, like a second and a third, is really good value for both sides because I don't think people would be opposed to trading up out of the third into the second to get a guy like JT. That's kind of what that value would equate to. Again, I don't know what kind of money he's looking for. I'm sure part of his deal would be I'm looking for an extension. So if you trade for me, you're also extending me, yada, yada, yada. There's a lot of this, back and forth conversation that gets really boring once you get into it really deep. But I think that would be I want him to go to the Pats because I think it'd be fun. I think he's worth 2 picks, and we'll see where we go. Because honestly, he's going to be a Colt this year, and that's my prediction.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's awful late in the season to be trying to, you can seek a trade out now. I'm like, dude, we're less than, 3 weeks away from the season starting. So,
we'll see what happens, when we get to August 29th, when we get, we got thousands of players hitting the market. Maybe someone tries to make a move. We're like, oh, crap, we already got nothing out of here.
Right.
But it's late. It's late.
Holmes here says, then this has been a question last couple of years. Do you think Frank Pollock is on the hot seat if the O-line doesn't step up this season?
There's been so much conversation about this, and I don't know what you guys want from Frank. Frank can only do so much. And, if you look at the talent the Bengals have brought in prior to last year, before we started paying some of these O-line guys, it wasn't like they were giving them all this first-round talent. They gave him Jonah.
Yeah,
that
was it. Yeah.
Everyone else is like, it's a vet that's coming down on his career. It's an undrafted free agent. It's a late-round pick. It's this, that. Even Volson, who's probably the best developmental project that he's had besides Deontay Smith, who couldn't stay healthy, no fault of Frank's.
Right.
But Volson's looked pretty good. And everyone's talking about how they don't think Frank can develop guys. And I'm like, if you look at the guys that we've fielded on this line the last couple of years when he's been here, he's done a great job of making guys, because think about it, they leave the Bengals, they're not on a team.
Right.
And if Frank put a line in the Super Bowl that, they might not have been the best line, but
they still were there.
They were a serviceable starting line in the biggest game of the year.
And we should have won it.
How many of those guys are still on a team right now? I don't know why there's hate for Frank right now. I just don't understand.
Well, that's the thing. That's a good point. You just said from that offensive line that started the Super Bowl, who's left? Jonah. That's it.
You got Jonah and Carman, and you got Adeniji.
Oh, yeah. Well,
where's Carman at? Adeniji's honestly almost on the bubble himself.
Yeah, I meant that would start. Who's starting? I agree. I guess what I was more saying. But yeah, I'm like, I love Frank Pollock. And like you said, there's only so much you can do if you aren't given the talent. Talent makes coaches look great. Look, I think Zach Taylor is a great head coach. Jackpot Joey makes him look like a Hall of Fame head coach. Okay,
yeah, I mean Joe Burrow is going to win Brian Callahan a coaching job if anybody wins him a coaching job. I mean, look at the quarterbacks coach last year. Quarterbacks coach is getting offers for job positions, and like, has he really done a lot? I mean, you don't know what he did behind the scenes, right. But is he getting those offers with Andy Dalton back there, with Carson Palmer back there? Like, is he getting these other places without like a guy like Joe Burrow? And that's where it's like people are talking about, well, Frank's not getting the job done. That's why they have to pay all this money out for all these new O-line guys that just bring in the talent. They can't develop the talent. And I'm like, no, they just care about their franchise quarterback. So they're going to bring in some guys they feel confident putting up there. And they're going to say, hey, Frank, make four-time Pro Bowl Orlando Brown, four-time All-Pro Orlando Brown.
Right.
You know, like, that's where, I don't get it. I think he's doing a great job. I had my own concerns at the beginning of last year just because I didn't really see some of the development I was looking for outside of Olsen. And as the season went, there was a couple of games where I was like, are we even game planning for this? Like, what are we doing to prepare for this? But, I mean, the second the scheme switched, it really looked like they committed to it. They leaned into it, and they really just went all in, and they looked really good coming together. And you guys can't say through that 10-game win streak, even through the injuries they had, they struggled. Awesome. It's awesome.
That 10-game win streak. Joe had all kinds of time. I mean, we had more. Well, we had 10 games in a row. I mean, that was the whole start of the offense coming together. I mean, that was the reason I think that we played so well, because of the offensive line played so good. Because there were holes to run through. Now, if Mixon hit him or not, Samaje hit him, or Samaje. I can't ever say his freaking name right. I always say it right.
I mean, Samaje closed his eyes and run through a brick wall. So I mean,
that's true. That is true. Let's see. What's Fry Bologna here's blowing it up here. Let's see. If they cared about Joe, they draft offensive linemen instead of D line and safeties that they don't need.
I mean, they're paying.
They signed Orlando Brown.
They got Ted Karras and Alex Kappa that are Super Bowl winners. They drafted Volson to appease you, and they have first-round pick Jonah Williams and four-time Pro Bowler Orlando Brown. I don't know what more you want.
Right? Yeah.
I will say I am on team draft O-line every year.
Yeah, no, I'm with that too. I think
no matter what team, the Eagles should draft O-line every year, and they did. If you paid attention. So I mean, I do agree with that point. But I mean, if you look at we have a quarterback with, I mean, now that Tom Brady's gone, probably the fastest time to throw in the entire football league, and now we're going to give him extra time in the pocket, so he can now start dissecting. I mean, we've talked about Joe Burrow dissecting defenses up to this point. Mm-hmm. Can you imagine what he's going to look like with 8+ seconds in the freaking pocket? Woo! Like, we're gonna cook some teams, and that's only the passing game, man. That's only the passing game.
Exactly. Dude, I can't. This camp is taking forever. I wish it hurry.
Isn't it awful?
Oh my god! Horrible? I want the season to start already. I'm like, we have 3 freaking weeks. Like, I was looking at it, like that camp day, looking like, okay, this is the last preseason game. Going, holy crap! First game until September 10th. I'm like, damn it!
Isn't that crazy? How we have the last football game we're gonna see until mid-September this week. Like, what the hell are they doing in those 2 weeks? What are we doing here, guys? Let's just match this together and get going. I'm ready to go.
Let's go. Start this thing already.
At least give me a 4th preseason week back. Come on, man.
Well, at least we got a week 0 for college football.
Yeah, we got some college football rolling up.
So that'll help me out a little bit. Anyway, Parker, you've been out for 53 minutes. I appreciate it. Tell everybody to go follow you, find you guys on Chatterbox after the games, because you're gonna be doing something cool there, right?
Yes, sir. So Chatterbox Sports, we got hooked up with them. It's me, just Eric from Twitter, and then Game On J Money. And what we're doing is there'll be 2 of us a week doing a little. We'll come in live partway through, like near the end of the 4th quarter, and you give some live reactions, watch the game with you guys. You know, and we're gonna have a live chat through the whole stream. So shoot your questions, your reactions, of what you want to see, what you think we're not seeing, you know, whatever you might think. And then after the game ends, we'll go immediately into a post-game show for about an hour, just talking about what we saw, what we want to see, what, you know, pros, cons, good, bad, ugly, awesome, terrible, whatever you want to talk about. We'll do the highlights from the game. We'll have some clips thrown in there from the game. And you're really just, you know, breaking down what we saw. And I think it's just going to be great. It's going to be fun. It's going to be 3, you know, I think we have 3 good personalities, minus myself, obviously, because I'm because I like watching the
You're Pancake. Come on now.
But it'll be good. And like I said, I mean, it'll be every game, post game. We'll come in live in the fourth quarter. So just find them on YouTube at Chatterbox Sports, and we'll be there.
Sounds like a lot of fun. You got an article you just put out for our boy
Yeah.
James.
So I'm writing for all Bengals. Thanks to James Rapine. So shout out to him.
Even though he's a little guy.
Yeah, shout down to him. But yeah, so I'm putting out my plan this year, and I'm gonna try and start it this week. But I put out an article after preseason week 1, just kind of takeaways, what I want to see, and then this week I put out an article. I think it came out today. About just my takeaways from week 2, what I saw. The Jonah Williams, Jackson Carman. That's I think officially done. Even though some of us said it was done months ago. And then kind of what I saw from some of these other depth guys and what I'm hoping to see, and then after I round up my all 22, I'm going to put out full talking about some of my grades and what I saw from that angle, and what I'm hoping to see out of this final preseason game, and then what I'm seeing depth wise, who they might keep, all the good O-line stuff that everyone wants to hear about all the time, because our O-line's the best ever.
Duh, it's awesome. Anyway, Parker, I appreciate you coming on. Like I said, I will be actually Cleveland. I'll probably try to watch, because we're gonna be at RJ Cinemas unless I go to the game. But right now I'm not going to the game. We're probably gonna be RJ Cinemas watching the game, and on the way home I'll pop you on the YouTube, and
Sure.
I have to. We'll be cheering because we're gonna stomp the Brownies.
It's not going to be competitive.
I just got a feeling we're going to come out and they're just going to shut everybody up the first week, especially shut
It
the Browns.
almost feels like that lead up to the Bills game last year, where it was just like, we feel good. Like this, like we're going to come into this game and it's like, it's a tone setter. And I think it's going to be a lot better than 0-2. I think it's going to be like holy crap, that was a divisional game and that was easy.
That's what I think. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I look at stuff through orange-colored sunglasses a lot, but that's what I'm calling. I think it's gonna be a butt whooping for the Browns. Anyway, Parker, appreciate you, man. Go follow Parker Blake 60. Go find him on Chatterbox. Go read his articles, and go eat some pancakes, would you, Parker?
Yeah, appreciate it, Phil.
See you, bud. Who day? All right, guys. Hope you appreciate that as much as I did. Parker is awesome. He's a good dude. I met him last year. As soon as I saw him, I ran across the parking lot, gave him a big old sweaty man hug. I mean, it wasn't sweaty. It was kind of cold. Cooler than. But anyway, I give him a big old hug. He's a good dude. I like Parker a lot. So go follow him on Twitter. Go find his articles and go watch him and my boy Eric and G Money on Chatterbox. Let's get to the Facebook groups that let me live stream, and as always, I appreciate every single one of them. They're Houday Nation, Houday Legion, Bearcat Ruckus, Radical Reds, the Ohio State Buttnuts, the Ice Bar. Then, of course, you can follow me on all my social media platforms, all under Sports with Strawberry Ice. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or X, whatever you want to call it, TikTok, and Threads. Twitter or X is at Jeff A. Turnipole. TikTok is at Iceman90. I'll be pulling off the sound later on tonight. So if you missed any of the stuff that Parker said or anything that I said, check it out on the podcast. We have BeanPod, Apple, iTunes, Spotify, Google, Stitcher Play, pretty much wherever you get your podcast. Please make sure you rate, like, and review. Leave a comment. Some more Cincinnati fans can find my podcast. YouTubers, you guys are awesome. We're up to 2,327 subscribers. As always, I appreciate every single one of you guys. Now, I did do a video. Now, I hope it's supposed to drop at 6 a.m. tomorrow. So, hope by the time you guys get up, you can watch it. It was my takeaways from today's practice. I hope you guys like it. I hope it plays. I'm not real sure if it's going to or not. I think it's going to, but make sure you guys go check that out. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share. Tell your friends about Sports Strawberry Ice, all the support and everything. I couldn't do any of this stuff without you guys, so I appreciate you guys. No Reds game. They're all rained out, so I don't know what we're going to watch. We have to find something to watch. Anyway, other than that, you guys have a wonderful day. I got Trags on tomorrow. Trags is a good dude. See you tomorrow. That's your sports, baby. See ya!